All right, so yes, it's time, and let's start off today's webinar. So this webinar was tentatively named performance marketing. So I was we're in a couple of minds regarding what to call this webinar. So we went with performance marketing, but primarily this will be a series of at least a couple of seminars. We have one today and one tomorrow. Seeing the practical implementations of what we do in real marketing and how you can implement everything that you have learned in your digital marketing classes into actual marketing practices. So that's the primary purpose of these seminars. And today's seminar is going to be on messaging, crafting a brand message, which is undoubtedly one of the most important, the fundamental things that you would do in marketing to ensure that you have that your audience actually understands you properly, and you convert them. You get more traffic to your websites. You get more conversions, and you improve your ROIs and so on. Okay, so that's what this session is about. In this session, we'll primarily talk about. Today's session is going to be primarily about crafting a well-defined brand messaging, and then how to kind of get it across on your websites as well. Getting started, creating a brand messaging, and this would be kind of one of the first things that you do for your marketing. It's like the starting off your marketing roadmap. Now, for those of you who have attended the classroom sessions with me, you know that I've always defined marketing as sending the right message to the right person at the right time, right? And this session is going to focus on that message part. How you can create a proper, clear message for all of your marketing campaigns, right? Crafting an absolutely clear and easy to understand message is literally the foundation of any marketing campaign. Okay, and if your messaging is not clear, if the clients that you're working with, their messaging is not clear. As a marketer, you might be consulting with other people, other businesses, and so on. I do that all the time, and a lot of times I come across websites or companies where the messaging is kind of confusing. We'll see several examples of that today. And if that happens, rest assured that any marketing material that you create, any marketing collaterals that you create, is most likely going to be a waste of money. Okay, so in this session we'll look at how do you get started, and how do you exactly become proficient in creating a proper story for your brand. We'll look at something called a story today. Okay, how we create stories for your brand that resonate with people. Okay, and this will help you clear your make a clear messaging, and you will definitely be getting much better results if you properly employ the tactics learned in this session. This has been something that has been tried and tested. I have done it many times, and that has definitely helped me improve my clients' marketing performance. And with proper effort, with proper practice, you guys will do the same. Just remember that this is something that takes time. The strategies that you learn in these sessions is something that will take a while to implement. You might need about 4 to 6 months to make sure that everything has been implemented properly and that you start seeing success from all of this. Okay, so that said, let's get started. So the step one to this entire thing is going to start off with creating something called a brand story. Okay, and I'm like impressing on the word. I'm trying to lay some emphasis on the word story, because that is what we will treat this entire exercise as. We'll actually be creating a story. I'll be using a lot of examples as much as possible, and you guys feel free to chip in with any questions that you have regarding this, or any experience that you had regarding what you are going to see right now, and we'll all be happy to share those experiences. Okay, so one of the benefits of this exercise is of crafting a good brand message, and more than brand message, I want to call it brand story, is that it will save you a lot of time while trying to create marketing collaterals later on. So when you're trying to create landing pages, or when you're trying to create sales pages, or just about any marketing collateral, it will save you a lot of time. Okay, and this will help you create marketing collaterals that actually work. So rather than beating around the bush, You will create stuff that helps you, that actually works. And of course, this will help you organize a lot of stuff in a more hassle-free manner. Okay. So with that, let's kind of go ahead. This is a session that we'll focus on. We'll try to work on simplifying and clarifying a brand message for you. And along the way, of course, there will be a lot of examples. So the first, thing that I want to get out of the way is I'm going to kind of take a step back and explain why story. Why are we calling this a story? In the previous slides, you saw that it's a brand story. Okay. So why do we really want to treat it as a story and not just another marketing message or a communication message or a brand tagline or whatever? Now, story is really important because a story is one of the most important tools that that exists right now in the world, which can make a lasting impression on the human brain. Okay, we are accustomed to listening to stories. We are we love listening to stories even as kids, or whether you're grown up, doesn't really matter. You enjoy a good movie because that movie has a good story in it, right? You love to read a good book because that book has a good story in it, right? So and like I said in the beginning itself, right, marketing is all about sending the right message to the right time, right? And when it comes about crafting a good, clear message, nothing like a story to do it, right? Because once again, this is one of the most important things that is that engages the human brain more than anything else. This is one of the most powerful tools in the world to captivate any audience. If you can tell your message in the form of a story, if you can let the world know what you're doing in the form of a story, they will be happy to accept it, and there will be a lot of engagement around that. Okay, so that's what we are going to do now. Once again, there's one of the most famous quotes that I heard around is that story is a sense-making device. Okay, stories tend to engage the human brains, and they kind of make sense to a lot of people because the way they are told, the way they are created, and so on. And this is the ability we are going to engage when we try to craft our marketing message. We'll turn it into a story that our customers or our potential visitors like to listen, and they would like to engage with. So how does this get started? How does this get started? How do you even start writing a story about your brand? Before we do this, we need to kind of understand what are the main elements of a story, right? What are the main characters or what are the main elements of a story? That's the more important thing to think about. Okay, so we have about 7 core elements in any story. Any engaging story that you like will typically have these 7 core elements. Okay, and the first thing, of course, here is the character. Okay, the character is the most important thing in a story. This is where everything starts off, and each of these elements is what we'll be focusing on to create our marketing story later on. And like I said, there are these 7 elements. We'll look at all these 7 elements first. We'll look at what these elements are, and we'll use each of those elements later on to form our own a brand story. Okay. So in this case, we have got a character that is literally the hero of the story. Right? Just about any movie that you see these days, or any adventure story that you read, there's always going to be a character who is the central point in this entire story. And this character is not you. Okay, the brand is not the hero. In this case, the character is the audience. Okay, the customer, literally the customer is going to be your audience. So always remember this, that the customer is the hero and not you as a brand. And I'll show you why in just a little moment. So as you start writing defining messages, or as you start writing your copyright materials for your as you start writing copy for your website and other marketing collaterals, you must treat your customer as the hero in the story. Okay, not your brand. Your company or your brand is not the hero. It's the customer who is going to be the story. Is the customer going to be the hero? And you need to ask yourself what they want, what their challenges are, and how you can position your company as a guide to help them overcome that challenge and essentially get what they want. Okay, so now a character is not going to be, the story is not going to progress until the character has a problem, right? So this is the next important element in any story. is that the character has a problem. So first element, of course, is the character, who is your customer really, and then this customer has a problem. Okay, so this is all related like this. This is what your the customer's problem is. Now you might have done exercises into your. Not sure if you have finished the the content marketing classes previously, but if you did, we did talk about something called the personas or avatars. Anybody has done that? Customer avatars, customer personas. You guys aware of that? Suresh is no. Nobody else? Okay, this is not done content marketing. Tarun is the only guy who's done it. So you guys will later on do it. So in the content marketing classes, you will come across something called this customer avatar or the customer that kind of depicts your customer as a virtual character who has got some certain problems, and you basically use that to define what an ideal customer is like for you. So you'll come across this later on, and you will kind of relate to this part once you start learning it. A character is going to have a problem. Without a problem, of course, there's no need for marketing. So character definitely has a problem, and one thing that that is very common is that all businesses or all brands, they tend to create solutions, or they tend to sell solutions to external problems only. Okay, but customers have more than just internal problems. So when you're talking about a problem, the problem can be defined in three different ways. There are three different kind of problems that a person can face. External, which basically is the physical problem that our customer is facing, or the hero of the story is having to deal with. Then we have got internal problems that the customer faces because of this external problem. He also faces some internal problems. Okay, so how is this external problem affecting our hero inside? Okay, this defines the internal problem that the character faces. And then you've got something called a philosophical problem, which is answering the question, why is that wrong? Okay, why that should not happen? Why what's going on right now is not ethically correct? Why this should not happen? Okay, so stories, all kind of stories contain these three levels of problems. These are external, internal, and philosophical. The external problems typically exist with any person. In this case, we're talking about our customers, right? So the external problems usually exist in a story to basically manifest the internal problems. They're all related, and I'll show you this with an example in just a minute here. And then the heroes basically try to resolve their external problems because these external problems are making them uncomfortable inside. Okay, if you think about any story, think about Star Wars, for example. You'll know that the hero takes a certain action. Hero wants to do something. Hero wants to resolve the main issue. So I don't know how many of you are a Star Wars fan, but you can probably relate to that example, or you can kind of translate that to any other Indian any other character you want, Bollywood movies if you want, or most likely you guys have seen Avengers, I'm sure, so you can probably try to relate to that example. So once a hero has an external problem, he tries to resolve it because that external problem is having an impact on his internal state, right? It's affecting our hero internally, the character internally. And of course, then we have got the philosophical thing. So we'll just see that with an example in just a second. Let's actually do that. Okay, so for example, think of a situation where somebody wants a car mechanic to fix his problem, right? So the external problem is that his car is broken down, and this person needs and is looking for a car mechanic to fix the particular car. Okay, now because of this, the internal problem that he's facing is that dealing with car mechanics can be frustrating, or dealing with mechanics can be frustrating in general. He may have, he may be in a hurry to fix something. He may be in a hurry to go somewhere. He may be in a hurry to meet somebody, but he's not getting the right responses, or the right or responses in time from these car mechanics that he's trying to contact. So the internal problem is because he needs a car mechanic. Internally, he's getting frustrated because this person has been waiting for a while and this person is not getting any effective response, and that has been a frustrating experience for him. The internal problem, and this leads to this external, the philosophical problem, that you kind of feel that it's not right for somebody to not respect your time or to empathize with you. So I think this is something that we all can relate to. Think of a situation where something broke down for you, something went wrong for you, something was something that you wanted to do very fast, but you did not get the response from whatever business you're trying to contact with. It could have been the television, for example, or maybe your internet wasn't working, or maybe your your cable TV wasn't working, and you tried to call somebody and they said they will come. They did not. They gave you time, but they did not arrive on time. And you've been waiting. You want to do something. You want to watch a show. You want to you want to browse the internet, but you do not have internet, and it makes you feel philosophically, it's like it makes you think like, why are they not understanding my problem? Now, why don't they empathize with me? Okay, and by the way, I hope you guys know the meaning of empathy by here, right? So anyone who can define empathy for me without Googling, of course? Understanding someone else's problem. Yeah, that's right. So a lot of people I've seen kind of confuse sympathy with empathy. It's not sympathy. Sympathy is something else. This is, yeah, Tarun is right as well. Being able to emotionally connect with the person, being able to understand, being in their shoes and being able to understand what they're going through. Okay, so just like a hero in a movie, the way they resolve external problems, because the way these problems are making them feel internally, customers do the same thing. Okay, and you as businesses should try to have marketing materials or marketing collaterals that aim at helping customers resolve their internal problems. Okay, most marketing focuses on the customer's external problem and not internal problem, but this is what you need to focus on to be in order to be successful, in order to create successful marketing messages. Okay, so that's what these problems are, and we'll look at several examples again as we go across. Okay, so by basically tapping into the idea of a story here, you're tapping into 2,000 years of best practices of storytelling. Think about any story that you have, any good movie that you like, any Avengers movie or Star Wars or whatever you like. You can think about it and you'll see that the typical hero, the typical character does have these three three issues, the external problems. If you think of if you think of Avengers, for example, I'm pretty sure all of you have seen the Endgame, for example. So the main Avenger characters, they have this external problem of this guy called Thanos, who is like hell bent upon destroying half of the universe and so on. That leads to the internal problem where where they feel that their family members or friends or people or innocent people are basically getting killed off or getting dead. And that's the internal problem. The external problem is, of course, Thanos, but the internal problem is that it affects their life. They cannot see the fact, they cannot adjust to the fact that innocent people are going to be killed, and that raises that philosophical question of like, this is not right. This is whatever is happening. It's like innocent people who are getting killed. This is not correct, and that is what motivates them to resolve this problem. So and that has been the essence of literally any story that you have, any good story that you have read over the years, right from the days when cavemen started painting stories on the cave walls. And by doing this, you're basically tapping into a formula that has worked, a formula that has been working for the last 2,000 years and will continue to do so. Okay, oops, I moved ahead a little bit. Right, so continuing with those 7 core elements of the story, we have got a character with a problem, and that's where we get somebody called a guide. Okay, now you are the guide. The business as a business, you are going to be that guide who helps this character resolve his issues. Okay, so I think you can already see where we are trying to go with this. So the story is shaping up. We have a character with a problem who then meets a guide. Okay, and you can probably recognize the Star Wars reference over here. So we got Luke Skywalker who got a problem. The corporation is building that big Death Star, and he has to destroy that, because if it doesn't do that, it basically destroys their planet, and then again a lot of people get killed and so on. So that's where he meets Yoda, the guy. So how many here are Star Wars fan actually, who kind of recognize this idea here? Any Star Wars fan over here, or should I have gone with the Avengers theme? So they say is not a fan, but I've seen the movie. Okay, all right. Tarun says both. Both what? Tarun, I didn't get that. Okay, Avengers and stuff. Okay. All right. So anyway, so our character who has got a problem then meets a guide. So always remember that your customers aren't looking for another hero. Okay, they are looking for a guide, because customers cannot solve their own problems, and that is where you as a business come into the picture. Okay, so always remember this. Customers go looking for someone who can help them resolve their issues. So again, the customers are going to have those problems: external, internal, and philosophical. You need to identify those problems, and you need to become their guide. Okay, it's again kind of following up in the okay. Jimmy says Krish. Okay, no comments there. Not a big fan of Indian superhero movies. One, they're kind of copies, and then the special effects are not really convincing. So, but again, no judging anyone. You can like anything as long as you're happy enjoying a good story. All right. So anyway, so like I said, our customers are not able to solve their own problems, and that is where they need a guide, somebody who can help them. Okay, you as a brand, you need to position yourself in position yourself as a guide. You don't have to pester somebody and try to sell them stuff. Okay, that doesn't work anymore. That was like 10, 15 years ago, when there was when internet wasn't there, and the buyers were not there's a comment from Sashikant. Meets the guide is the second element. No, the guide is the third element. Character is the first one. Problem is the second element, and the guide is the third element in the story. Okay. Right. Like I said, you have to position yourself as a guide for this particular customer, identifying his problems, and then we'll see what happens from that point on. Okay. So just a quick detour over here. Once again, this is just to kind of remind you that you are not the hero of the story. It's your customer who's going to be the hero of the story. So the only way this works is you have to be the guide. Okay. And okay, there's a spelling mistake over here, but that's supposed to be guide, not guide. Okay. This is where you come in. You're supposed to be the guide over here. All right. Now, when creating your brand story, always remember that a guide must, do a couple of things. One, express empathy. That's really important. Once again, be sure that you know the differences between empathy and sympathy. Empathy is like, you understand the situation. You go ahead and tell them that, you know what, I know this is a problem, and I understand that you're unhappy because of this. I would feel the same thing if it happened to me. Okay, if I get if my internet breaks down, and if I call these guys and they tell me that that's really unfortunate, I would be really pissed off too if my internet had gone for like an hour or so. So that's what empathizing it. There may be any number of reasons why you could not solve that problem up to that point, but if you respond to any situation with empathy, that's going to tone down any confrontational mode that the customer may be in. The customer may be angry, irritated, in a mood to fight, but the moment you express empathy, that's going to calm him down. So that's one of the most important things that you need to focus on. But that's not the only thing. You also have to showcase authority. Okay, expressing empathy is not going to be sufficient if you cannot convince them that you are the one who's going to be able to solve their problem. Okay, so empathy always comes with authority. You have to convince them that you're the right person for this, and you will be able to solve or fix whatever problems that that this customer is facing. Okay, so let's kind of go ahead actually. So coming back to the core elements, we got a character, a problem, a guide. So who can guess what's the next thing in this? Not next. What should be the next element in the story? So we got a character who got a problem and who met a guide. What do you think the next step should be? I mean, think about it in the form of a story. If it was a story, what would happen? Okay, Jimmy Alex says solution. Anybody else? Okay, solution from Suraj as well. Insight or an idea. So wonderful. I mean, you guys are actually understanding the problem. Understanding the problem, Vijay, has already happened, right? A guide already is somebody who has empathized. I mean, who's able to empathize, right? I mean, customers will not make you your guide unless you're not empathizing with them, right? So that has already happened. So yes, the next part is you can call it solution, you can call it an insight or an idea that the guide will give to this person. We will call this who gives them a plan. Okay, so again, our story goes to the next level. So we have a character with a problem who then meets a guide, and the guide then gives them a plan. Okay, a plan to succeed, a plan that that helps them resolve whatever external, internal, and philosophical conflicts that this person is going through. Okay, so when you kind of break down the entire process that customers go through to do business with anybody, and if you can give it to them in small, easy to understand steps, engagement increases. Okay, a person may have a problem, and you may have a plan. Okay, you may have a good plan to resolve this, but it's how you present that plan to the person also makes a big difference. Okay, so ideally you need to focus on giving them a series of steps. If you can list out to them, okay, you know what, I understand that you have a problem. You just need to follow these 4 steps, 1, 2, 3, and 4, and this will fix whatever problem you're having, or this will resolve whatever issue or conflict you're having. You're having, kind of, okay, so this is the process plan that you're going to have. Okay, so when you're creating a brand story, the process plan should include a couple of things. Of course, one of the easiest way to do this is having a few easy steps someone can follow to do business with you. Now, if just one quick word of advice here, or something that you must remember, is that everything that we are doing here is something that we will implement on a practical on the practical stuff that you have on your websites and so on. So this will connect to your brand, to your messaging, and to your website in just a moment. Okay, so just try and remember these things and remember these ideas that you're talking about, because this is what we will use on a practical site or something like that. Okay, so again, a plan can be is typically a few easy steps, because your customers' minds customers are usually pretty confused. You cannot have them try to figure out the solution on their own. So as a guide, as somebody who is determined to help them, your job is to make this process of resolving their issue as easy as possible. Okay, and this is something that you do by providing them simple, easy steps. It could be just like you've seen on the websites that getting a loan is as easy as step 1, 2, and 3. You might think of this as a very basic idea, a very basic concept, but it actually makes a huge difference. Somebody who's looking for a finance, for example, is worried about a lot of things. He is definitely some sort of a financial need, and therefore is looking for a loan or some kind of a financial aid, and he is worried about it. He doesn't know if he will be able to pay off. What would be the the payment options or the repayment options? How much would that be? How much time does he have for them? Is that going to be difficult? Would he be able to would he be able to repay back in time? Does he have enough resources to pay back in monthly installments? So there can be a number of questions that would really have be bogging down the person, and even something as simple as just giving them like 3 steps. Number one, read our finance plans that I have. Number two, look at the terms and conditions that we have, which are extremely extremely well defined. Number three, just give us a call. And number four, XYZ. So I don't remember the exact steps that you have to follow to get a loan or something, but something as simple as that, just mentioning that this can be done in 3 simple steps or 4 simple steps, that will make a big difference to your customers. That will help them get out of that confusion mode, the fog mode, and think and look at things in much more positive manner. So if somebody is confused, you do not want to try and sell to them. That is the mistake which a lot of businesses have been making in the past. Like I said, customers today are empowered. They have access to information. They can research for stuff on their own, and they absolutely do not need to to be sold on. Okay, this is something that I've discussed in the past. Again, those of you who have attended my classes, I've given the examples of several years ago when you wanted to buy a car, you'd go to the first person you would go to is a salesperson, right? And that would be the first person who would you would interact with, and then you would ask him to show you the car models and all the technical stuff and so on, and then he would kind of help you buy that car as well. Today, if you decide to buy a car, and if you get a call from a salesperson straight away, you'll get pissed off, right? You do not like that that interference. You are capable enough. You know how to do your research. You know that you can go online. You can look at sites where people review these cars. You can go to YouTube. You can go to sites like Car Deco and so on, where there are videos and other reviews and testimonials about that particular car. You can do all your research. So today, if you decide to buy something, you only contact somebody at the last moment when you actually need to buy that stuff. All that research is already done by you. Okay, and this is where businesses have to be proactive, understanding that customers want help. If I'm looking at looking to buy a certain phone and I'm confused about it, as a business, you can help me understand more about the phone's features. Maybe you give me some comparison videos, that this phone versus that phone, that clearly shows me why this phone is better, or easy to read guide about what makes what are the main elements of a good phone, for example. Or if you're going to buy a used car, for example, what are the main elements, or what are the 25 things you need to consider before buying a new car, before buying an old car. Okay, that's something that is that will worry a lot of people. What if I buy a car which is really really old, or which is which is beyond repair? What if I buy a really broken car? But if you can approach a company where they say, like, one, give us a call; second, book an appointment; third, take a test trial; fourth, read through the 25 necessary checklist items that we'll give to you; and fifth, just go ahead and buy it, right? So that eases off the tension on you. That eases off the pressure on you. So if you can do this to people, they will be really happy to engage with you, because they know at that point in time that you are trying to help them. You're not trying to sell to them. Okay, and this is what makes a big difference. So this is where you have to think of yourself as a guide, and this is the whole point. We are doing this exercise. We are thinking about it in the form of a story, and we have established the fact that you as a business are the guide. Okay, you're not trying to force some other product or something down the throat of some unsuspecting customer. You are going to help them. You're going to be a guide to them, and this will help you with much better conversions at a later stage. Right, I hope all of this is making sense to you guys. So in the previous section, we looked at the steps that you need to follow, the process plan. We also have something called an agreement plan. So you can also create an agreement plan. So once again, if somebody is going to buy something, or if it's again, take that used cars example, for example, give them a list of agreements that the company can make with you, so that the life for the customers becomes a little bit more easy and hassle-free, and and they can conduct a tension-free transaction. So let them know exactly what they are getting. In the agreement plan, you have to let them know exactly everything that they need to do in order to get that product or service or whatever they're looking for. Okay, make it easy on the eyes, make it easy to understand, make it simple, make it hassle-free, make it informative, and they will obviously thank you for that. Right, so coming back to the core elements. So we got the character, we got a problem, we got the guide who gives them a plan. what's the next step? Any idea? So we got these 4 elements down: character, problem. Character is our customer. Problems are again the issues or the conflicts that they're facing. Guide is you, the business, and you have a plan. We just looked at the ways in which you can offer them a plan. It could be a simple plan, step-by-step guide, or it could be and also it could be an agreement plan where you make it absolutely clear as to what they're getting. So what's the next step? Perfect. You guys are like real smart. And so Anita says how to go about the plan. Awesome. Anybody else? Any better word for that? How to go about the plan? I mean, this is remarkable, Anita. You just got bang on. You got the absolute right stuff. Jimmy says product or service you have. Well, that is already covered, right? That is kind of done. We're not looking at product service. Process was again this thing we talked about. The plan is the process, right? But Anita says how to go about the plan. Any better word for that? Execution? Not really, not execution. How is this plan beneficial for customer? Again, guys, do not think of it as as a marketing copy. I mean, think of it as a story. That's what we're doing here, right? We're writing a story. So this is what I want you guys to do. Think of this as a story. All right. So well, Anita was pretty close. How to go about the plan, and we actually call it. Any guesses? We actually call it calls them to action. In the marketing world, we call them CTAs, right? Calls and actions. Twists and turns, not really. Of course, there will be twists and turns, but again, we're not going to talk about those right now. Right? So it's called a call to action. Okay. So once again, customers or your hero will not take an action unless somebody motivates them to do it. So end game, it was Tony Stark, who was not willing to help these guys with time travel, and he was kind of reluctant to do it. He needed a kind of a big lecture from Steve and all the other guys so that he could go ahead and do it. In Star Wars, it was Yoda again who kind of motivated Luke. So he had given up. He was not sure about his abilities, or he did not know what to do. And that's when Yoda came in, and he was like, he gave him the necessary information that he needed to act on the plan, right? So this is literally called call to action. And in the business world, this is I mean, we have the word for that. It's called CTA, or call to action. Okay. Once again, customers do not take action until they are literally challenged to take an action. Okay. So you have to basically challenge them to take an action, and that is exactly what Yoda did. He basically challenged Luke to do something. He challenged him to basically use the force or his telekinetic power to basically lift an entire ship which was in a swamp. So he basically challenged him to do this, and he kind of motivated him to act on that plan. And that is what you need to do with your customers as well. Okay, because customers, they have their plan, and they have you as a guide who has a plan. You have a plan to them. You tell them that, okay, you know what, these are the 1, 2, 3, and 4 steps that you need to do to achieve this. But you have to like push them over there. You have to give them that call to action. Okay, so unless you ask your customers to buy something, they will not. Just simply having a plan is not going to help. So for example, if I'm looking to buy a phone and they gave me a video about this phone versus that phone, and that clearly said that this phone was better, but that doesn't mean that their job is over. Okay, their job does not end at that point in time. If they do not do anything else, I might end up again getting away from the marketing funnel. I might just drop out, and some other customer, some other business who's a little bit more proactive might even lure me in, might even pull me in with his messaging. Okay, so there has to be a very obvious call to action on your website. Typically, you see these buy now buttons or things like those. Those are the call to action buttons. and they should be obvious enough. You should prompt them to take an action. Yeah, it could be through action in your emails that you send to them, or elevator pitches that you offer to them, whatever. You just ask them to take some action. And call to action again is of two different types. So when creating a brand story, your call to action can either be a direct call to action. Examples include things like buy now, or call us today, or schedule an appointment. These all could be direct call to actions. But it's not always that people respond to call to action. So even though you have helped them quite a bit up to this point, and you have given them a pretty obvious call to action, not 100% of your customers are going to convert. Not 100% of them are going to click on buy now and make the payment. Some of them will do. Some will kind of look at the buy now option, and they will kind of want to go away. Okay, they are not sure at this point in time, or it could be any number of reasons. But your website conversion rates will never be like 100%. So in fact, most cases your website's conversion rates are in the range of like 2% to 3%. So what happens with all those 97 or 98 people of 100 that go away? You do not want them to go away. Okay, you still want them to give them something called a transitional call to action. Okay, a transitional call to action is not is like okay, so you don't want to buy right now. Why don't you sign up for this webinar instead? Or why don't you sign up for this email newsletter instead? Or why don't you download this PDF? Just give me your email address and you can download this PDF. It's okay that you do not want to buy right now. I'm not going to push you to buy. Don't worry about it. But you can download this PDF that will help you with something. We have again talked about this in our classes in when we discuss lead magnets and so on. So you guys will have classes on funnel marketing, or setting up marketing funnels for your business, where you learn about these strategies like creating lead magnets and so on, and also in your conversion rate optimization classes, where you're going to use these techniques to basically get contact addresses of people so that you can convert them later on. Okay, you spent a lot of time and money sending people to your website. Now if they go away, all of that is wasted, right? But you do not want to do that. You want them to you want to at least capture their email address by offering them something. It could be a lead magnet, for example, and that will help them that will help you basically remain in touch with them. And then you can start a series of email nurturing. For example, you can set up email nurturing an email nurturing plan that would literally help keep them engaged with the company, and over some time you might still get them back into your onto the website and convert them later on. So again, for those of you who have covered these classes, you kind of know that these things are all interrelated, and you learn about all these specific strategies like funnel marketing and lead magnets and email marketing in your future classes anyway. And there's a typo here, by the way. This is supposed to be number 2. So I actually created this PPT just a couple of hours ago before the class, so expect a lot of errors. All right, so hang on. Moving ahead. Okay, something happened. This you should not have seen this right now, but anyway, let's go ahead. The next element in the story is basically the result, and that can be divided into 2 parts, or that can be of 2 types: success or a failure. Okay, so that literally kind of completes the story, but you need to understand that results are a very important part of your marketing story. Okay, and when I say success or failure, I don't mean I don't mean the customer success or failure. I'm sorry, I don't mean your success or failure. That if the customer signs up, it's a success, or the customer does not sign up, it's a failure. No, I'm not talking about that. I'm talking about the customer's success or failure. Okay, so at this point in your marketing story, you need to write or create content that lets people know that if you do not do this, then these are the problems you'll face. These are the this is the this is the failure that you'll come across. You'll not be able to do X, Y, Z, or you'll not be able to achieve X, Y, Z because you did not take action when I asked you to do this. While on the other hand, you'll have to tell them that if you take action, this is how you will succeed. This is how you'll be able to resolve that external, internal, or philosophical conflict that you're having at that point in time. Okay, so you basically let them know that following this plan that you have will help them avoid a tragic ending. nobody wants a tragic ending, right? We all want a happy story where the hero has actually won. So the customer is the hero, and you want to tell them that, you know what, if you want to win, you know, if the story ends with the hero winning, then you have to take this action which I've been telling you to do. Otherwise, it's going to be a tragic ending, and you know, you'll kind of fail if you do not do this. So you don't have to be like very obvious about telling them that, you know what, if you do not do this, you will fail. No, you don't have to do this. You have to do it in subtle ways, in ways that are toned down. And I'll show you examples of this. I have some examples which I captured from different websites that will help you understand how you can subtly tell people that, you know, if you do not follow this, if you do not take this course of action, then you are going to, you know, basically, you know, fail. Okay, so you don't have to really spell out the consequences that the customer might face if they do not buy your products or reviews, but you have to, you know, you have to create a situation where, like, you know, there are stakes over here. There's something at stake right now. If you do this, you win. If you do not do this, you are going to fail. That is the kind of impression that you want to create, because without stakes, you know, stake is something that can be, you know, that can be won or can be lost, right? So without any stakes, the story does not have any power, okay, and your customers will lose interest. And that stake has to be something important, something powerful. You know, if Luke did not destroy that Death Star, it would have the power to literally, you know, evaporate the entire planets in just a matter of seconds, right? So that was a huge stake, right? That was a big one. There, of course, will be other stakes, like, or other problems that a character will face, like, you know, the customer, I mean, again, back to the story, if you talk about Star Wars, for example, that is not the only problem. Destroying the Death Star is not the only problem that, you know, that Luke faced, right? He had other issues. He was in love with someone, and, you know, he had, oh, come on. He was in love with someone, and then that was a problem to solve. He had other issues, like, you know, some issues with parents and with his teacher and so on. But the biggest and the most important stake was the fact that there was this Death Star being built, and that was the biggest concern that you know, that this person has. So your customers, of course, will have other problems, but you have to focus on the biggest problem that they have, the biggest thing at stake with the problems. And if you can focus on this, that is when you'll be able to capture you know, the biggest their most attention if you're able to focus on that thing. Okay, so always remember that you need to show people how your products can change their lives. Okay, this is important. It's all about changing their whole lives. Okay, just like actors in stories, they you know, at the end of the movie, they you know, kind of move towards the solution. They move towards conflict resolution. You know, if you think about it, whenever, you know, these guys who write these stories, these storytellers or these script writers, you know, when they create a, you know, whenever they create a vision for you know, the climax, the audience, you know, the people who are watching that story, they basically cheer them, right? Towards the end, you're happy, you clap, and you know, you feel that, you know, this is going on towards a good result, right? So, you know, the Avengers movie, the end, you know, when all of those guys came back together and they were ready to fight that big army, the entire theater was you know, was clapping and was cheering on, right? So this is something, this is the kind of emotion that you need to generate in your customers as well. Okay, if you have a vision for what your customer's life, you know, if you can think about it, if you can visualize how your customer's life can look like after they start using your products and services, and then you can kind of convince them to move in your direction. Okay, so you have to show, and or rather tell your customers what is their life going to look like if they engage with your brand. That is how everything ends in a happy story for both the customers and for the brand. Okay, so these are the 7 elements that are you know, the core elements of any story. You know, literally think about any movie that you can, and you will find this is typically how, you know, most of these successful stories look like. So you know, these you know, these 7 things can be like I gave examples, can be properly translated into your own business, your own websites, and you'll be able to create content or marketing collaterals which talk about, which basically, you know, help the story move forward. And this is what we'll do as we go ahead. Okay, so any questions at this point? Hope you are comfortable with this whole idea. Hope you are able to understand this whole analog of a story. All right, just 1%. I hope you've not gone to sleep with this. Now, this is primarily a theoretical lesson, not much action like in the previous webinars. Last element, Shashikant, this is the result is the last element, right? So 1, character, 2, problem, 3, guide, which is so customer, issue, brand, and then plan is the 4th one, call to action, 5th one, the result is the 6th one, and this is actually divided into 2 parts. So this is success or a failure. So you can kind of ignore this. A result could either be a success or failure, right? So character, problem, guide, call to action, plan, success, and failure. These are all the 7 elements of a story. Yes, of course, it's a simple story, but any story can be defined, can be kind of. I mean, you can make it as complex as you like, but any story can be kind of interpreted in these like in just a single line, right? Okay, so that is, I think everybody's okay with this. We can move ahead. So this is something we talked about already. Remember that you have to show stakes to people. If there are no stakes, nothing to be won or lost, then in a story, I mean, then the story does not have any interest in it, and that is what you don't want to do. Shashikant has a comment. Story should relate, I guess, with customers' feeling or emotion. Of course, that's what we talked about, right? The problem situation. That's the problem, right? I mean, the customer is doing something. The whole point, the whole reason the customer is doing something is because of that problem he has, right? If if there was no Thanos, then there was nothing for these Avengers to do, right? So the problem is what started all of this everything. If the customer does not have a problem, he'll not want to buy something. Simple as that, right? If his computer does not get slow, he will not buy RAM. If his business isn't doing well, he would not look for a marketing consultant. Okay, I hope that makes it clear, Shashikant. All right. So moving ahead. Right. So now these are the ideas that we will now use to implement on your marketing pages and typically your website, because your website is then again, as a digital marketing person, as a digital marketer, your website is going to be the #1 place where you actually make sure that that messaging appears. Right. So now, before you can do this, you have to ask yourself these 3 questions. Now, these these 3 questions will help you basically come up with ideas around what messaging you really want to create on the website, or answer a lot of these questions. So you want to create this story, ask these questions basically. Okay. The first question is, what does the customer want? Okay. You know who the customer is, but you have to figure out what does your customer want. Okay. What is immediate requirement? What are their internal, external, and philosophical problems? Okay, what are the different problems that they are facing? And third, did you demonstrate empathy and your ability, your competence, your authority, that you will be able to resolve these problems with them? So if you can do all of these things, you will be able to come up with that marketing message, with that marketing messaging framework which we just discussed in just a moment ago. Okay, so quickly ask yourself these questions. What does your customer want? What are the internal, external, and the philosophical problems that the person has? You have to remember that most companies, most brands solve a lot of problems. They may have multiple products, each of them, each of the single individual products themselves solving multiple problems. But if you try to include too many problems, in your brand message, in your brand story, it will basically confuse your potential customers. Okay, so you have to think about the biggest fear, the biggest issue, the biggest problem that your customer faces, and you have to include only that in your marketing message. Okay, you can have multiple pages, multiple other marketing messages, each one focusing on different problems, but in any one marketing message, you have to focus on any one problem. Do not confuse them by writing tons of other things. Okay, a marketing message like this, for example, let me open up one of my writing pads for just a second. Okay, so let's say this XYZ company, one stop for all your business needs. Okay, a very common marketing message, right? I mean, something like this, I'm pretty sure you guys would have seen, oops, what happened? Yeah, you must have seen something like this written in several places on different websites, right? So can someone tell me, is this a good marketing message or not? And if you say yes or no, you have to give a reason as well. Okay, not specific. Anybody else? Okay, perfect. Customer may not, so Suresh says it's not very specific and the customer may not know exactly what the company is selling. This is really good. Anita says yes, but generic. We have the expertise to solve your problems. Okay. Arun also says no, it should elaborate the services. Yes. Shashikant says no because of trust. I don't think trust is a problem right here, but most of you got it right. This is a very generic marketing message, and it's like one of those. It's not a part of that story we talked about, right? If you think about it from that story point of view, it does not even address the problem that the person faces, right? One stop for all your business needs. I mean, how on earth can you provide solutions for all my business needs? I need an office for my I need a bigger office for my for running my business. Can you provide that? I need to hire a new HR intern for my marketing needs. Can you provide me that? I need better content writers. Can you give me that? I need better ROIs. Can you do everything for me? No, this is not going to happen. Right? This will not engage the people. This will not appeal to the people. Again, that is the whole reason we did that story exercise first, right? Think about it from the point of that story. Is there a stake involved over here? No, no stakes involved, right? The customer does not feel like there's something to. One's not specifying his problem at all, right? We are not even identifying the problem. And second, we are being very generic. So this is not going to engage the person at all. And still we see messages like this plastered all over the internet. A lot of websites have the main heading section, the header section will have literally this big headline saying one stop for all your business needs. How many of you have come across messages like these? Suresh says I have. Anybody else? You see them all the time. I'm pretty sure must have seen. Anita says have seen lots. And now you see, and now you know that this is, you probably never even thought about it, right? You never even bothered whether it's not a message like this. Anyone in this in this group of 14 people actually attending this session right now? Anyone who has been a content writer or somebody who writes ads? Okay, looks like no one. All right. I mean, if you are a content writer and if you've written something like this, you don't have to be sorry about it because you did not attend that session before today. So you don't have to feel embarrassed about it. But yeah, I've seen content writer create call to actions like these, create website headers like this, and this does not work at all. Okay, so do not do this. Okay, once again, let me go back up. So again, start by asking these questions. What does your customer want? What are the internal, external, and philosophical problems? Did you demonstrate empathy and competence when dealing with them? Do you have a clear plan for them to be successful? Are your CTAs, call to actions, clear? And have you identified the success and the failure? Now, this is very important. You have to basically, identify what happens if the person does not use your products and services, and you have to use it against them. You have to tell them that, you know what, if you do not do this, you are going to fail. But again, not in that many words. You have to be a little subtle about it, but you have to give them an indication that, you know, if they are to succeed, your product and services are going to be the solution. So this again kind of builds up from those 7 elements that we learned. Okay, the 7 elements. So who your customer is, what does he want, what is the problem that he faces, and as a guide, are you demonstrating empathy with them, and and more importantly, are you demonstrating competence? Do you feel like you're being authoritative enough and able to tell them that, you know what, we are going to solve your problems? And once you have done that, once the customer once you have the customer's attention, once you have gotten them listening to you, do you have a clear plan for them to be successful? Can you tell them that, you know what, you need to do these step 1, 2, and 3 in order to solve all your problems? And once you do this, you have to push them to take action. Are your call to actions clear? Have you clearly told them that, you know what, you need to click on this button to do this? You have to do that. And finally, you have to let them know that this is what happens if you do not use the product services, or this is what happens. This is how good it's going to be. This is how life-changing it can be if you use our products and services. Okay. This is an example here again. I think we can. There's a couple of examples over here that will demonstrate the point. So I don't know how many of you remember this guy. Who's this? Okay, Suresh got it right. Jeb Bush. Oh, did you read the one in the left-hand side, or did you actually recognize them? Okay, I thought, oh, oops, I thought so. Anyway, so this is the website of, this used to be the website of, Jeb Bush. Once he was one of those presidential candidates when Donald Trump actually won the elections. So this was how his website looked like at that point in time, a governor story. Again, nothing very, it's again very generic, a governor story. Are people interested in a governor story? No, right? I mean, there's no way he was going to capture anybody's attention with that. The page, this was actual website that he had, and you can see that this is like, first of all, it's just got a huge picture over here, nothing else, and then this one line that you could read that says a governor story. Okay, that's not going to work out. And then he's talking about being governor was the best job I ever had, and blah blah blah. What's wrong with this page? Who can tell me what's wrong with this? So think about it. Think about it from the story's point of view. So here's this guy, Jeb Bush. He's trying to, get people to vote for him. He's trying to win the presidential elections. So he's selling something. He's obviously selling himself, right? Come on, I keep on scrolling. He's trying to sell his products and services, not products and services. He's trying to sell himself. Okay, so I kind of, yeah, you got it right, and I gave the answer as well. Again, from the story's point of view, he's making himself the hero, right? And we already determined that in any story, the brand is not going to be the hero, right? It's the customer who is going to be the hero. So try to answer these questions from that story point of view. Okay. No voter issue handled, no empathy with the voters. Yes, voters are not interested in personal story of the candidate. Perfect. So neither on this page, and then if you scroll down a little bit below, you would see this. I'm pretty sure nobody read this. I've released my emails that tell the story of my governorship through exchanges. Being governor was the best job I ever had. Come on, he's just talking about yourself. There is nothing in it for the actual hero, right? Being a governor was not the hero's problem or his moment of achievement, right? There are other problems which are there with the heroes. With the people, with the actual heroes. I doubt anybody was interested in this. I doubt anybody was interested in this. And then there was this thing here that that there was a countdown: 343 days, 10 hours, 4 minutes, and 32 seconds. Any comment on this? Anybody have any idea what was wrong with this? This countdown timer at the bottom. It's probably to the election. It is for the election, actually. Yes. This countdown is most likely for the election date. Okay, so you must have seen these counters on several websites. Let me see if I can show you one. Let's say we go to this site, and let's go to pricing. I think they have a countdown over here. Yeah, so look at this. They have a discount right now, and they say that this annual discount expires on this date, and you have just 16 hours, 53 minutes, 5 seconds left for this. Okay, any idea why do people do this? Why people put up a timer like this? They do this to create scarcity. Okay, this is meant for people to take action. They are urging them to take action, that you know what, there's a discount going on, and if you do not take the benefit right now, you'll basically lose this discount forever. You'll not get the benefit of this discount. Yeah, to push for immediacy, to create scarcity. That's the main aim. And 16 hours, yeah, that's scarce. You know, people have to make decision in just 16 hours, and that's a fairly short amount of time for somebody who wants to spend some money into it. But on their site, I mean, 343 days, do you think that's even creating any kind of a scarcity or any immediacy for people? That's like huge, 343 days. Nobody's even going to bother about like 343 days. It's like, there's a lot of time. I'll think about it like, next year probably. So this is, again, this was wrong on so many levels. And on the other end was this guy, Donald Trump, right? Do you know one of the biggest reasons why he won? I think you now know the answer. But I want you guys to kind of analyze this a little bit. Of course, you can see this on the screen right now, but he was everywhere. That's a different situation. That's a different thing, Suresh. But from the point of view of what we covered, from the point of view of that story thing that we talked about, Anita says, empathized with the middle class who had no jobs. Yes. So Trump was very successful because he created a very compelling story. Okay, he made people the hero. He realized that it was their story. He told them things like, no, you guys do not have jobs because your jobs are being outsourced to people. You guys, do not have, food or whatever because of the encroachment from the Mexican side. There's illegal immigration problem coming from all over the world. People from different places, different countries are coming into America, and they're basically stripping off resources. They're taking away the resources that you were supposed to have. And that is what he did. He created that problem, right? He made people the hero, and then he empathized with them, right? He created a story where people were the heroes with the problems, like job problems or economy problems, resource issues, immigration issues, and that was not the only thing. He also had plans for that, right? So if I go up a little bit to where we had that whole plan. I think I moved up a little bit. Let's, this is the one here, right? Yeah. So this is the page we're on. Okay. So he basically, made people the heroes. They were the real characters in his story. They had a problem. They had a problem of immigration. They had a problem of, people coming in from all the different places, jobs being taken away, all those things I talked about. And he offered to be their guide. Okay, he offered to be somebody who had a plan for them. He gave them a plan. We will build a wall across Mexico. I mean, however stupid that idea was, that still worked because that plan was was aligning with the problems that people were facing, right? So he promised that from that we'll build a no entry barrier into United States, so nobody from Mexico could enter into United States at all. I'll stop all immigration. I'll not allow people to enter America. I will not allow the jobs to be outsourced to different places. I'll levy taxes on companies who are conducting, who are outsourcing to other people. So at that point in time, that was a great plan for these people, right? And he called them to action. He told them that, vote for me and I'll give you all of this. He gave them this, picture of a bleak future that if you do not vote for me, it will continue to happen. You'll continue to lose jobs, you'll continue to lose revenues, your economy will keep on going down, America is going down, let's make America great again. So if you vote for me, I'll get all of these things done, and I'll make you successful. I'll get better jobs over here. I'll solve the issue of economy over here and all that other stuff. I'll stop people from entering America, and I'll stop them from taking away your resources, right? So, and that is why everywhere he went, he got a massive reception from people. People were really happy to America for Americans. That was his motto, and everywhere he went, people cheered for him. There were like huge crowds, and it did not stop him, right? He went on to become the U.S. President, just because he had a better story. Okay, and this whole idea, if you can think of it, I think it's one of those perfect examples that you can use, and you can create a wonderful story for yourself like this. All right, I hope this makes sense to you guys. So let's go down. This is where we at. Okay. In fact, there are articles which I saw when I was kind of working for this. Articles on how Trump is winning because of his storytelling game. He loves to tell a story. This is something that generates passion among people. And he creates stories which have high stakes. Like recently he came up. I don't know if you guys watch news and stuff, but Imran Khan was in the US, and he came up with the idea that the India had asked Trump to mediate in the Kashmir in the Kashmir problem, because that Kashmir is a big problem, the biggest issue for both Pakistan and India, and therefore of course that was a lie. Even people in his government later on agreed that Trump was telling a lie at that point in time. Trump, no such thing was no such request was made by India, but then he was able to capture the idea which had the biggest stake over here, and that is what you have to do as well. Right, Shashikant says, yes, I saw that news. Yeah, that was all over. So, in fact, his own people condemned him for this, because India has been very clear that they do not want mediation on this. But this is something that he does on purpose. He picks up issues. He picks up the problems which which really resonate with people, which have very high stakes. And when it comes to India and Pakistan, I think there's no bigger issue than Kashmir, right? Even everything that's happening is because of that Kashmir issue. So he knows what to talk about, and this is where you can learn a lot from Trump. Do you think Trump was a very successful businessman? No, he was not. But he created those stories. If you want to read more about Trump, go in and search for how his business acumen was, and he wasn't. But he created lots of stories around his business in a way that people were really influenced by him. So that's what Trump does. He's a perfect storyteller, and that is what, and to some extent even our own Prime Minister is, with all due respect to him. But again, one of the other reasons that he seems to do well is, again, he loves to tell really good stories. I'm a big fan of him, but yes, he does tell lots of good stories. Okay, so again, Trump made it clear that the ambition was clear, the problem was very serious. He made it very clear that the problem that people were facing was very serious. He introduced himself as the guide. He let them know that the plan that he had is going to work. The call to actions were very clear. Vote for me to make America great again, right? And he did that for different people. He even used things like Ab ki baar Trump Sarkar, based on what Modi had done. So his call to actions were very clear, very proper, and very precise, targeted, and stakes were clearly defined, right? If you do not vote for me, this is what will happen to America. So he created a complete brand narrative that people that he knew that people will understand and will respond to, and that is what the power of a good storytelling can do. And if you can incorporate this into your own businesses, it is going to work like a charm for you. Okay, now we have the step 2 where all of these ideas that we learned, we'll use that to kind of wireframe a website. We're not really going to design a website. So wireframing just means coming up with ideas for a website. So this is, but before we do this, kind of as an exercise, I don't think we have time on the seminar to do this, but you guys can take it up on your own when you are done with the session. So I'll just let me open this file with me. Yeah, so it's a worksheet that I have created. You don't really need a copy of this because You can probably just take a note of this, or maybe even just take a screenshot of this. But this is what you guys need to do so that you can come up with a brand story of your own. Trust me, this is a wonderful exercise. This is something that I have done not for just myself, but for a lot of my clients that I've worked with, and without any doubt, this has generated some excellent results that that has really helped improve marketing for all of those people. So I definitely urge you guys. Most people might have businesses of your own, or you might be thinking of creating a business of your own, or you might be working in an organization with a certain business, of course. So please look at this, and although I can arrange for this sheet to be shared, but I don't think there's anything that requires to be shared. You can just note down all the different points here. So you'll also have the recording of the video anyway. So just fill in this sheet, right? Create you can just do this in Microsoft Word. Just write the titles, like the character is your customer, what do they want, and write about it. Of course, this will require some research. You can speak to your other team members. You can speak to the sales team to understand more about your customers. And this is actually where the customer persona comes into picture. The customer persona or the customer avatar. Since most of you have not gone through this, you will learn about this in your content marketing classes. So define your character. Define what do they want. What is the problem that they have? What are the external, internal, and philosophical problems that they have? I had given an example of that, waiting for a car mechanic thing. Makes a guy who understands their fear. So how can you express your empathy to them? How can you express your authority to them? How can you make them believe that you are the right person who can guide them, who can solve this problem for them? Okay, and then you have to summarize a plan. How are you going to do this? How can you summarize this little plan that you have? And once you have summarized the plan, what is the call to action that you are going to create? What is that button's going to say which will force them to take action? So what's the call to action? And then how does this result in? Okay, so successful result. So if the person agrees to go with your plan, if the person agrees to use your products and services, what are the different successful results that you can get from this? In how many ways can he fail? What are the tragic results that he's going to get from it? Okay, and because of this, how does this person's identity transform? How does this person change? How does this change the daily life of this person? If he succeeds with it, or if he does not succeed, whatever case, how does it change the person's life? If you can fill this up, trust me, you'll be able to write just about any marketing collateral. You can create any marketing campaign that you can think of. It will be a powerful. This is a powerful starting point to create powerful messaging that will resonate with people. No more of these XYZ company one stop for all your business needs. No more of this this weird shit happening. Okay, so can you guys do this? All right, so just 3 people saying yes. I mean, there's just a very limited number of people engaging. Typically, there's Anita, Suresh, and there is Shashikant who are kind of interacting. How about the other guys? I hope you're not multitasking. Webinar in one window and Facebook in the other window, or WhatsApping on the phone. This is what happens when you know that, okay, this session is going to be recorded, so I can watch it later on anyway. But trust me, the whole reason you attend these webinars is that you can kind of interact with these, and you can ask questions wherever needed. So okay, so more answers coming in. Ravi Shankar, Arun, and Suresh Kumar also say yes. All right, so I look forward to this, and I'll be happy to actually, Anita says impossible to multitask. I'm old school. Okay, I mean that's true, but that's a charm of, that's a lure of these modern devices these days. People find it hard to stay away from like WhatsApp and Facebook for even like an hour, and this session is for like almost 3 hours, so it's a long time. Anyway, I would be happy to check some of these sheets that you create. So I can share my email address with you guys. Most of you have it anyway, I guess. But you can reach out to me and you can share this. I'll really love to see what you guys can come up with. So you don't have to design it like this, like what you see on the screen right now. you can simply open up a Microsoft Word, and you can simply start writing this is the character and this is what they want, and these are the problems, and I would love to see some of these sheets, right? So are you guys going to do this? How many can I expect? How many of these emails can I expect? Yes, Shashikant, I can share this sheet with you guys, but like I said, you don't need the sheet. You can simply write this in a Microsoft Word file, but I'll speak to the coordinators at EduPristine, and I'll make sure that this is included in uploaded to the LMS. You guys can check it from there. So Anita says, maybe if you give us a task, we can mail it back to you. Yeah, that's the task. The task is to create a brand story, create a marketing messaging framework. So this is what you see over here, and email it to me. So whatever business you're working for, you can do it for that business. If you have your own business, do it for that. If you're working for somebody, you can do it for that. Or if you plan to have a business of your own sometime in the future, you can do it for that. If none of the three are true, you can just imagine any business. Think of yourself as you're a marketer, or you're somebody who's selling fish, for example, or somebody who is the owner of MNC selling some SaaS software. Think of whatever, and you can mail it to me. Like I said, it's pretty simple. All you have to do is let's say, for example, open up a Word file. Okay, so Microsoft Word, for example, and just type it in. Like I said, I will share the PDF, and this will be uploaded into the LMS. You can download it from there later on, but you can just simply do this. Start like this. Element 1 is your character. Okay. What do they want? Question mark, and then simply go ahead and write what do they want, and then they go to the second element, the problem, which are external, internal, philosophical. So element 2. In fact, sorry. The problem, and you can do something like external, and write about what the external problem is, and then you go ahead and write what the internal problem is, and so on. So I love to look at this, love to check out what you guys come up with. You guys, let me open up the questions panel for a second. There's some queries over here. So we have to do this project through one by one step. Of course, Ashikant, that's how you do it, right? The story has a beginning and the end, right? So to start at the beginning, and only then you can go all the way to the end, right? You cannot define the solution without having a problem first, right? So you have to go step by step, just the way we did, right? We have to create an engaging story for your brand, okay? A story that will be interesting. That is something that will engage me. That's what you have to do, okay? You can have my email address. I'd love to receive some of these files. So just sharing that with you guys. Okay, I just put it in chat. Can you guys see it? All right, great. So I'll look forward to seeing how many of these sheets you come up with, and that also gives me an opportunity to critique them. I can get back to you on this, and I'll let you know if that works or not, or how you could improve upon it. All right. All right, so we can move on ahead. Now, before we go to the next section, we can take a quick break because this is going to be a long session. So we go to step 2, which is where we kind of work on wireframing a website. We won't really wireframe a website, but we'll analyze some things on a website. We'll use all the elements that we just learned, okay? So we learned how to create a marketing messaging framework, okay? And how you can use this to modify the existing elements on your website so that your messaging can resonate with people. So that your messaging, I mean, coming up with the messaging is one part, right? But you have to make sure that message resonates with people. People are able to see this, understand this, and make sense out of it, and then eventually take action out of that. So that is what we'll do in the next step. So now that the marketing messaging framework has been created, again, you guys have to do that exercise to create that framework. But once it's done, you can start using that framework to basically, if you're working on a new website design, of course, you can wireframe. You can use that information to create a wireframe. Who can tell me what's wireframing, or what is a website wireframe? Anyone? Skeleton of a website. Okay. See, wireframe is like, the initial prototyping of a website. It's not an actual website. So before you do any design work on a website, you basically start by creating a basic outline of the website, pointing out the different things that that you will put on the website, or the different content pieces. It's almost like a broad outline of the information you will put on the website, as pointed out by Anita. So this is that is what wireframing a website is. So it's not about designing a website or stuff. That's not your job. But yes, marketers should be an active part of website wireframing. So initially, when the ideas are being generated around how the website would look like, what kind of content will go into it, marketers need to play a big role at that point in time. If you have an existing website, on the other hand, then you can still use this information to modify the existing content on the website so that your marketing messages become clear. No more of that, one-stop solution for all your problems. This will help you avoid all of that. Okay. So let me zoom in a little bit. Okay, so your website has to be absolutely clear. When people visit your website, the whole point of this exercise that we did in the previous section was to make sure that when people come to your website, they're able to find solutions. They're not confused. They don't appear fazed by what they see on the website. Okay, so the clarity of message is one of the immediate things you do after defining your brand message. Once you have created your brand messaging, you have to make sure that that message is clearly incorporated to the people. So once again, going back to the definition, the right message to the right person at the right time, right? So you should be able to deliver it to the right person. Somebody is looking for products and services similar to that of yours. They should find your website as the ideal solution for it. Okay. So the reason I mentioned wireframing just a while ago is that for all brand new web pages or brand new websites that are being created, marketers should play an active role in this whole exercise. This will also help the developers do a better job, because they'll know what what kind of content is going to go on the website, and they will accordingly create a design for the same thing. Okay, so clarity of the message basically refers to the fact that most business owners they tend to get really close to their products. They and so much so that they end up talking about the product into in the inside language, a language that uses jargon and technical stuff and so on, which is not really what people are ready to listen, or people are able to understand. Okay, so there's an example at the bottom where you say, if somebody calls you up with a problem and you tell them that, you need to check the server's IP host and verify its RBL reputation. So let's say there's somebody who is who has a problem with his email marketing server, or email server is not able to send emails. He calls up the email guy and the email service provider, and tells them that, my mails are not going through, or most of my mails are going to the spam. And if that guy responds saying that, you need to check that server's IP host and verify its RBL reputation. Now, do you think for a layman that would be of much help? Okay, so once again, very few responses. Just one of them this part at this time. Anita says there's gibberish. Yeah, it's technical jargon, but the problem is that it does sometimes happen. Website owners, they tend to work so close. They're so close to the product that over time, as the product flourishes, as the product is being developed, these people start talking about are used to talking about the product in using those technical jargons and stuff. So you really need to avoid that. You don't want this. You don't want people looking at a website with this kind of an expression on their faces, frowning at the internet screen. That's a bad sign. Okay. At this point, then we'll start talking about the 10 components of an effective website. So if you're trying to build a website or a landing page or just about anything, these are the 10 things that you need to really nail down, so that your messaging that you created again in the previous stage is clearly displayed on the website. And the 10 things that we are going to talk about are: number one is going to be the website header. Okay. A header is, I'm not talking about the technical header over here. The header is not, technically the header is the code version where there's a head section in any website. I'm not talking about that. Header is typically what you see when you open up a website for the first time. Okay, so open up any, for example, this website, for example. If you open this website, go to the home page. This whole area that you see right now, this whole big screen right now, this is also called above the fold. So any content that you see on the website above the fold without having to scroll down is called above the fold, is basically the header area. And in this header area, I see, a headline, I see some pointers, I see a video, and so on. Okay, so a header is going to be the first important element of your website, where your messaging should be absolutely clear. And go up. How do you know if the website is the website header is good? There's a test for that. It's called the grunt test. Okay, grunt test basically means asking people a couple of questions, and asking the most layman of the people a couple of questions. You could ask this question even to caveman, and the caveman should be able to understand it and should be able to at least grunt a yes for this. Okay, so ask these basic questions to people, and if they are able to answer the question, then the website header passes the grunt test. Okay, and we'll look at some examples as well. So first thing, by looking at the header of the website, are you absolutely clear on what is the offer? Okay, what is the offer being made over here? Okay, and you want even the most layman of the people to say yes to that. So the grunt test again is, you show the website header to people, to the most layman of all the people, and ask them this question: are you able to understand what does this website offer? And if they can say yes, then yeah, that's a score. Second question, how will it make my life better? So does the website header answer that question? And third, what do I need to do to buy it? Okay, sometimes you'll not be able to incorporate all three of them into your headers. So I still recommend that the first two are extremely important. You should be able to incorporate that in all your headers. Once again, header is that area of the website that people see. Okay, and the third question, of course, is what do I need to do to buy? If you can include that, it's going to be the perfect header, which is going to engage all of your users. Okay. Some things to remember over here is that people do not read websites anymore. People have stopped doing that. There's a lot of information overload happening. On an average, most people are exposed to about at least 50 different websites on any given day. It's just not possible for people to read all of that information. People cannot process so much of information. If I told you to read 5 books every single day, or even just 2 books every single day, at some point in time you'll get burnt out. Okay, you don't want to you will not be in a position to do that. So that is what's happened. That is what's happening with people as well. People are basically out of exposed to so much of information that they want their heads to be clear. They don't want to expend energy or their mental faculties on trying to understand content as much. So people have stopped reading websites. They don't read them. They scan them. That's the first step that they do, and they only go through the important details when and where they feel necessary. How many of you agree with that? Do you read through all the content on the website? If you're looking for information, do you read absolutely everything on the website, or do you just kind of scan through and then decide if it's good enough for you? So Suresh says, I read headlines. That's what scanning is. Scanning is all about reading headlines. Anita also says no, selective. So that's a fact that all of us do that, right? So no surprises there. Okay, now look at this. So we'll have a couple of examples over here, and let's put it to that grunt test. Okay, so there's a comment to go to the info one. Okay, all right. So Arun also chipped in with his comment, says go to the info I want. That's what it is, right? So again, remember the grunt test. What do you offer? The website, just by looking at the header, should be able to tell you what do you offer, how will it make my life better, and what do I need to buy it. Okay, so let's look at some examples. Okay, so again, I want as much of participation as possible. So do you think this one passes the grunt test? Again, ask yourself those 3 questions. You don't have to guess. Okay, you don't have to guess whether it does or not. You have to ask those 3 questions and then basically decide whether it passes the grunt test or not. Once again, in case you're really trying to do this, and if you found it, if you miss it, here is the grunt test. I want you guys to basically either take down these questions, take a screenshot, or write it down. I think writing will take time, but what you can do is just look at it, make a screenshot, or remember the questions. What do you offer? Will it make my life better? So once you look at the header, I want you guys to be asking yourself, what does this website offer? Will it make my life better? And do I know what to do to avail this offer? Okay, and ask these 3 questions, and then tell me if this website passes the grunt test. So so far, Suresh is the only person who answered. He said no. Anita says no. Generic cloud solutions. Anybody else? Arun is one of those rare active people now. So 3 people are responding. Vijay says no. Ravi Shankar says partial. We're not looking at partial no's or yes. We're looking at yes or no. Okay. So yeah, most of you are right. It does not pass the grunt test because one, innovation starts in the cloud is again extremely generic. Does not tell me anything about what services they have. Right. So again, those 3 questions. Let me kind of zoom out again. First question, what do you offer? Innovation starts in the cloud. Now, cloud has got lots of stuff to do, right? There's so much of stuff that found in the cloud. So I don't know what service it is. Is it? I mean, there's website hosting in the cloud. There is SaaS software in the cloud. There's tons of things in the cloud. So I don't know what this means. And then they say SADA delivers transformative cloud solutions and services to help you reach new heights. Once again, extremely generic. It does not answer any of these 3 questions. What do you offer? You know what? Let me copy these 3 so that it can be handy. I mean, you guys can see this on the screen every single time. So no more break, but this one. So I'll keep it open on the screen so you guys can refer to it. Let me make it shorter. All right. So coming back. So this one, okay. What do you offer? I have no idea. Cloud is many things, hosting and SaaS software, and then creating applications. There's so many things hosted on the cloud. So this is again no idea. How will it make my life better? No idea, because it's not even answering my problems. What do I need to do to buy it? Once these 2 have failed, this anyway does not make any sense. So this is a total failure. This does not pass the grunt test. Let's go down. Okay, now look at this and tell me. Does this one pass the grunt test? Okay, Anita says yes. Is it answering all the 3 questions? Shashikant also says yes. Now guys, okay, and yeah, don't do this as a guess. The first one was the first one failed, so second one must be a pass. That's not the logic happening over here, right? Again, ask those 3 questions. So there are 2 yeses. Anita and Shashikant say yes, and Vijay says no. So once again, the 3 questions. Arun says no as well. So the audience is divided. We have 4 people playing this game right now. Anita and Shashikant say yes, and Vijay and Arun say no. And we have a new entry in this game, Suresh Kumar, who says no as well. So 3 people saying no, 2 people saying yes. And Anita says it's clear on what is offered, but doesn't show how it improves my life. So no, so Anita has now changed her answer. No, she did not change. I mean, she did not answer. So yeah, there are majority of no's. Yeah, that's true. It does not pass the grunt test as well, because see, driving innovation to change the world for good. Again, not very clear. On the top, we do have this one here. Now, this is wrong. This is where they explain what they do, right? We are a technology company developing engineered biocarbon and hydrocarbon products to address 3 of the world's greatest necessities: food, water, energy. So this should have been the big text over here, right? Because my attention, you know what? I'll be honest with you. I did not even look at this when I was copying the image over here, right? When I was copying the website. My attention was on this one: driving innovation to change the world for good. and it fails again because this is the main headline which is actually taking over, and the other two questions again do not get addressed. So yes, this is a problem. This does not this also fails that test. And it's not just the bigger companies who are actually failing this test. Even it's not just the smaller or mediocre companies failing this test, or startups failing this test, or coming up with unimaginative headers. Some of the bigger companies also doing it. So look at this one, for example. This is Intel's homepage. Okay. So does this pass the grunt test? Shashikan says, you're right, tagline should be the lines written above. Yeah. So, all right. So Vijay, Shashikant, and Arun, all of them have emphatically said no to this. They're all saying that the page from Intel does not pass the grunt test. Oops, sorry. And the remaining two candidates also chipped in. So all 5 of you who are actively participating, you guys all said no. So Vijay, Shashikant, Tarun, Anita, and Ravi Shankar, all of you said, and even Suraj Kumar, they all said no. So I guess all of you are very clear on this. You are getting, come back. Right, so this is wrong on so many levels. One, amazing experiences are what power us. Again, they're talking about themselves. They are making themselves a hero. Amazing experiences are what power us. They're not talking about the users. Intel is at the heart of amazing experiences. I am not even sure what does amazing experience constitute of. For me, an amazing experience is, when I'm in a, boathouse in Kerala, for example. So that's definitely not at the heart of amazing experience. Our technology makes imaginable, real, and the real amazing, blah, blah, blah. This does not capture my attention at all. And guys like Intel can do it because they are big names. They're one of the most established, names in this particular niche. So for them, yeah, that's okay. But again, if you are a startup, you're somebody who's looking to grow their business, you cannot risk doing something like this. So again, your brand story has to come up over here. This was again a bad page. Here's another one. So this one, does this one pass the test or not? Okay, so so Suresh, the first one to answer, saying no. Anita says no as well. Ravi Shankar, no. I hope you guys are not thinking of it as a pattern, right? So far, all the 3 before have been no's. So this one should also be no. I hope you're not thinking like that. Are you? All right. So yeah. So this is, of course, this is a clear no, because you can clearly see that a century of pushing the boundaries of what's possible. There's no limit to what's possible, right? For me, time travel is the boundary of what's possible. So have you done that? Again, that's not correct. A future of collaborating and creating the only way we, again, lots of blah, blah, blah here as well, so kind of not doing the job. All right, so let's go on to the next one. So this one, yeah, so and they had a question, no, what's on offer? So again, there was no clarity over there, but we all agreed that page was not passing the test as well. How about this one? Okay, so this time Anita has changed her answer. She's like, yes. Okay, Vijay says yes as well. Ravi Shankar says yes as well. Arun, no, that's brilliant. There's no conflict, right? You guys are like absolutely clear on what we are trying to do over here. And a couple of yeses from Shashikant and Suresh Kumar. So that's perfect, right? Yes, it is pretty clear. Free POS software for small businesses. I know what I'm getting over here. eHopper POS is easy to use, cross-platform, and available. So how am I going to get it? I know that it's available on Android tablets, iPad, Windows PCs, and the Point terminal as well. And there's a button right here that tells me that I need to click on these to get it. So what is it? It's a POS software. It's meant for me. I'm a small business. Yes, it's meant for me. It's definitely talking to me, and I know all this. So see how beautiful this header is. I'm not talking about the image, of course, but I'm talking about how easy it makes it for me to understand what is on offer right here, and I'm definitely engaged with this, right? All of you guys were immediately able to say yes on this because you figured out that yes, this was definitely working. How about this page? Next one. Okay, so answers started coming in. So the first one is from Ravi Shankar, and in fact, first two answers from Ravi Shankar and Suresh Kumar. They say no. Anita says yes. So now is the first real conflict which is happening. So one more no from Arun. There's a yes from Vijay. So as expected, I was actually expecting this. I was expecting a mix of answers, and so yeah, not surprisingly, there are 3 no's and 3 yeses to this one. So it's not 100% there. Like I said, I mentioned this in the beginning. Oops, come on. I need to control my mouse a bit. This one, I said that, even if the first 2 of them suffice, it still, I would say yes. Sometimes it may not be possible to include all 3 of them. So let's see here. What do you offer? Helping you build a better business. This is a little generic, but then they have gone ahead and explained kind of, this is a little bit clear, helping you build a better business, right? They are not talking about, they're a little specific, and then they have gone ahead and talked about most businesses are wasting money in 5 critical categories. We have a healthy business checklist that ensures higher profits and stronger cash flow. I would say this answers the question. I would say, what do you offer? It's very clear here. How will it make my life better? Of course, it will make my life better because it will help improve my business. It will show me these 5 critical categories where I am actually losing money, and therefore I need to check this. And they have how to access this. I have this big button here that says view the checklist now. So I know how to avail this offer, right? I just need to click on this button and go on and check it out. So I would say it passes it. Do you agree? I would say it passes because, oops, come on. There it is. Right, so those of you said no before, Ravi Shankar, Suresh, and I believe Arun. Now do you agree? Even Sashikant, now do you agree that it's actually a yes? All right, good. And I think I have a couple more examples here. So this one. All right, so no answer so far. Looks like people are thinking. All right, so I'm getting yeses from people. Okay, lots of yeses. Perfect. All right. Okay, so we're absolutely clear. All of you said yes to this, not a single no. And this works perfect. So, I guess I don't have to explain this. And finally, this one. All right, so again, lots of yeses. Yes, yes, yes. And you guys are right. Correct. All right, so we are all on the same page now, right? We are all on the same page. Okay, so next question to you guys. Now, do you think that after this exercise, you will be able to make a better decision when it comes to creating, better headlines, better marketing message on your website headers, or that you will be able to go to your clients and tell them with conviction that this is what is wrong with the header and this is what you need to change? Or if you have your own business, that this is what I need to make a change. Are you guys feeling confident about it now? We all did this exercise, and the best part is most of you were on the same page, except for I think one place where there was some confusion. But then again, once you got into it a little bit, deeper, once you read that a little bit with more, care, you figured out that yes, that was right. So guys, you know what what you've got here is a great ability right now. This is something that I need when I take interviews, for my company or for the previous company that I was working for. This is one of the best things, one of the most important things that I look for. One of the interview questions is always, I used to show them the website, okay? And I used to show them a couple of examples, one of my own websites, own company websites, and ask them to critique this, or ask them if this was the perfect header or not, or how you would go ahead and improve something like this. Okay, so this is something that will help you guys a lot. When you're when you guys are applying for marketing managers or VPs at different positions and so on, or senior positions, team leads and so on, these are the type of things you'll be asked to kind of look at. You'll be given examples, you'll be given websites, and you'll be asked what is wrong with this, or how else do you think you can improve it. All of these things will happen. Okay, so this is again the company that I was working for, ProProf's Chat. one. This is one of the headers which was designed by me, and I made it, and I ensured that I followed my own advice by incorporating all those elements on this page. So do you think this passes the grunt test? Right, so again, no doubts over here, it does for all of you. So this is what you guys need to do as well. And once again, you should feel proud. You should feel happy about the fact that you can now analyze a website in this particular manner. This is going to make a big difference to you once you launch your careers as digital marketers and team leads and VPs and so on. So congratulations, Steve. All right, so moving ahead. The element number 2 of any website framework is the value proposition. This is also very important, and the value proposition again should be built using the marketing framework that we learned in the previous class, in the previous section before the break. Value propositions can be many things. These could be monetary value propositions. So you can let them know that they will save a certain amount of money or a range of money if you do this, or you'll be getting certain rewards because of this. So value proposition is whatever value you are providing to them, okay, whatever value you are giving to them because after using your products and services. And value propositions are a very important part of websites. You need to provide them on your pages, and that is the next thing. Typically after the header, the first thing that you should show up are these value propositions. So people read that. Once people saw your header, before scrolling, they saw, they connected with the page, right? They felt like, okay, this is what they need. That prevents them, this grunt test. If your website passes the grunt test, it will prevent people from hitting that back button. It will stop people from closing that window. And then they will scroll down. And typically at this point, the first step that I would want to show them is the value proposition. What value are they going to get from doing this? And there are a couple of examples that you can look at. So this is how value proposition is provided. You can, again, they should be scannable, they should be short, and they should actually be talking about the value that they are getting, okay? So once again, always remember the fact that people are just going to scan the website. So first things they'll do is, just read this, experience and results, and focus on communication, and agent you can trust. So this is the value that they're getting, and then only if they like what they're reading, they'll actually go through and read more about it. Again, do not make the value proposition too long. Do not make it like, a paragraph with like 10 lines into it. Don't do that. A couple of sentences is all you need. Should be scannable. Even better if you can put them into bullet points. Bullet points will make it even better. The market is challenging. You need an agent whose experience can lead to the result you need. This is, of course, a value you're providing, right? It's a challenging market, and you want the help of an experienced agent. You're worried, right? I don't know which website I got it from, what was the product, but again, here people before they buy a product, they are worried about it, like they're in the dark. They are going to take an important decision. So here what's being told is that you don't want to be in the dark during such an important time. Stay informed so that you have the edge that you need. Again, a very clear communication over here. And finally, focusing on your goals and doing what's best for you every step of the way. That's again a good value proposition. Here is another example. Again, my mind immediately went through all these three: transformation, peace of mind, ongoing counsel, right? I don't think any of you read any of this. The first thing you guys did was read all the top parts, right? The transformation, peace of mind, ongoing counsel. So confidently implement your success strategies, knowing your tax, financial, legal, business, and business areas interplay very well. So again, this is a good, solid, value proposition. Again, do not fill this area up with generic statements like, we are the best in the business, state-of-the-art technology, or mention something like, we have been around for 13 years. How's that a value for me? You have been around for 13 years. What if you're like, doing crap for all those 13 years? I don't really care. I need to know what is in it for me. How is it going to benefit me? What is the value I'm going to get out of it? And I do it by first scanning through this information and then reading through this information and making sure that, okay, yes, this sounds good. This alleviates one of my doubts. This helps me feel good about what I'm trying to do right now. Peace of mind, rest and relax, knowing that everything is highly organized and working to impact your life and the lives of those around you, right? It's directly talking to me. It's a very good, Value proposition, ongoing counsel, receive steady guidance throughout all the seasons of your life. You'll find our ongoing counsel invaluable, call of its sequence, and that's a good call to action as well. Most people will get convinced, at this point. So first, after looking at the header, they will connect with it. Second, they will read this stuff, and in a lot of cases that will be enough for people to simply take the action right away. So this is a call to action. So we'll talk about call to actions shortly as well, but value proposition is a very important part of your marketing construct. All right, is it clear for all of you? And now are you guys seeing like what kind of a framework your websites will need, or when you're auditing a website, what are the things you need to look at to identify problems? Or if you're, let's say you're consulting some other business, what you can do to, convince them or tell them that this needs fixing on your website. If you're working as freelancers, trust me, this information is worth its weight in gold. Let's say you pitch for a project on a freelance site like Upwork or freelancer.com. Hit their websites, check out for all these stuff. Look at the header, look at these steps. Send them a sheet with 20 different points of why their website is not correct, why the information on the website or why the marketing message that they have on the website is incorrect. And trust me, you'll back that project in a matter of minutes. You'll literally blow away anyone who is kind of reading your reports on this. So this is again extremely important. Focus on this, and you'll be able to really make a big difference out here. All right, is that okay with everybody? All of you are clear on this? Any questions at this point? Okay, Anita says perfect. Okay, I'm glad that you guys are liking it. Okay, any examples? Can you guys come up with an example of your own websites or websites that you are aware of? Just quickly, not more than that. Let's take a couple of minutes on this. So hit the internet. So you're allowed to multitask now. Open up a tab. Check up any website that you are aware of. See if it has this thing. If it has these value propositions. If it has, does it work for you? Is it a good value proposition? Do you think it passes the marketing test that we are doing right now? So I'd love to see examples from people. If you have your own websites, that would be awesome. I would love to see those. So you can paste the links of those websites here in the box. So that will that's something that everybody else can see, and that will give us some practice as well. Let's go to this one, and let's look at this. So in this particular site, the value proposition is mentioned right over here. So these are all the value propositions, and again, these are not generic. So delight visitors with instant help. The focus is that you'll make your visitors happy by offering them instant help using a live chat software. Grow leads and close sales faster. So of course, as a business, my number one concern is that I want to grow leads and close my sales faster. View customer info in real time. Reduce tickets by up to 80% with knowledge bases, and access insightful reports and surveys. So these are good value propositions. So in the header itself, I'm able to look at all of this information, and yes, this page is something that works for me. So Anita has sent us a link, nike.com.in. So the Indian Nike page. So what are your thoughts on this page, Anita? So what do you want to point at? What do you want to show us? So here's the site. Yeah, so it barely contains any of the elements that we have discussed so far. But again, Nike is a big name, right? So they can afford to do this. Nike is itself, when you think of shoes, you think of Nike or Adidas. So yeah, these guys can afford this, but not you. If you launch a brand new shoe business, that won't work for you. Here is another example from Suresh, velvetcase.com. My design. So let's open that. Okay, so the header is it blank or is it still loading? So Velvet Case, is it a website or is it your website, Suresh? So say it's not blank. Refresh it. Let's see if I can. Oh, it's there. So is it your website or is it something else? This is the website I work for. Okay, perfect. Right. So what are your comments on this, Suresh? Now, based on what we learned so far, what is your feeling? So now you guys are the experts now. You guys have to tell me. And there's another site which is provided by Ravi Shankar. I will open that next. But let's look at this one, Velvet Case. So Suresh, based on this, okay, so your first comment is CTA is missing up front. That's fine. That's kind of okay because CTS can come in later on. But yeah, get your custom-made jewelry in 5 easy steps. This is good. This actually passes the grunt test, I feel, because they do tell me what I want, and they have listed the steps. So even without scrolling, I can kind of see this over here. So consultation, design approval, 3D printed wax model, casting and finishing, voila, the finished product. It's kind of there. It's okay. I think it works for me. I think the messaging is decent over here. They also mention things like 7-day free return and free home trial. So they'll come back. So how to access this? They actually provide a free home trial as well. Zero cost EMI. I can get it on zero cost EMI, and I think this is a decent decent messaging page. I think maybe I could have added a call to action button over here because that would make a bit more sense. Or maybe added some, maybe added a call to action right after the pointers that we mentioned over here. So yes, that I think works. But overall, it's a good one. So you can pat yourself on the back, Suresh, if you were involved in its design. Offer is clear. What it does to me is clear. Okay, Anita also agrees with this. She says offer is clear and what it does to me is clear. So good job, Suresh. Good job. Let's open the next one. This is by Ravi Shankar. So Ravi, is that your website or something else? medqlabs.com. Looks like I've heard of this site. So medq.com. Okay, so there we are. Straight away I see this big thing come up. So there's a slider. I've never been a big fan of sliders with lots of information coming in. Like I said, the best situation is where you have one problem and you mention that right here without confusing people. So I'm not a big fan of sliders, to be honest. Some companies do it properly. They make it look nice, but again, your access to quality care is again clear, and they're asking about book a test or health package. Avoid questions and get lab tests at home. So yes, if I'm looking to get a lab test, I do have questions. So although it would be better off if it could answer some of those important questions. Good health at your doorsteps. This is a bit generic, but I think overall it's okay. I think it's 70% there. It would probably need. Okay, so it's Ravi Shankar's own company. So yeah, it's decent job, Ravi Shankar. It's almost there, but it does need a bit more work on it. So based on what we learned today, I'm pretty sure that you can make some changes to that. So book your test form. One other thing from the UX point of view, I have a big monitor. Actually, I have a 30-inch monitor, and I failed to see this because I'm sitting really close to the screen, and this is like way on the side because, like I said, I have a huge monitor, and I almost missed it. So maybe this is something that you do not want to do. Plus I see a button here and a button here. That's again 2 call to actions. This is bad. They should not be doing the same thing. If they open up the same thing, if I click on this, what happens? It goes to a different page, but they tell me the same thing, right? That you can book a package right now. So again, there's a conflict happening over here. And then this thing comes up. I don't know what value this one adds. It's not anything different, right? Book a test or health package. Now, pop-ups like these are called exit pop-ups, and they typically appear once you're trying to leave the website. And the main purpose of the exit pop-up is to give something new to people so that they can, because see, if I'm going to leave the site, I've already made up my mind, right? I do not want this. I do not want to book a test, so I'm going away. At that point, if you open a pop-up and tell me to book a package again, I'm not going to care, right? So a pop-up is meant to give something else. I did not like this. I'm going away. At this point, you may give me a PDF that says, you know what, these are the 11 things you should check before booking a healthcare package, or 11 of the best healthcare packages in India compared. Give me that PDF, and to download that PDF, I need to enter my email address. So that is how it works. It's called a lead magnet. Okay, so having a pop-up that gives me the same message, because I've already rejected this message, right? There's no way that pop-up will help me change my decision. Okay, so you need to fix that as well. Otherwise, I think it's decent. Anita has another link. Anyway, before we go there, is it okay? Is it fine, Ravish? Ravi Shankar, you get it? The stuff that you need to work on? All right, great. And a lot of it will be covered in your future classes. Especially, pay attention for your classes on email marketing, where you will learn about email nurturing, and about lead generation, where you generate leads, and the funnel marketing. These will be very helpful from the point of view of what we are learning right now. Okay. Anita has a link from asserts.com. So you are picking on all the top brands over here, right? So first it was Nike, and then it's Asus. So Asus 6Z Experience, okay, that went away even before I could read it. And redefined, okay, a little fast for my test. But again, Asus is a big name. I mean, the computer that I use, the desktop that I have built is an Asus desktop. So I'm a fan of Asus. So yeah, like I said, these bigger established companies, they can get away with breaking those rules. That won't be a problem for them. Right. And that's what I said, Anita. If they're a big brand, people just know them by the brand name, so they can get away with it. For them, it's not a problem. It's for the newer brands, the newer websites, the newer businesses, or small scale businesses that have to make sure that everything is perfect the first time around before they go ahead. Anyways, that's enough of discussion on that. Let's move ahead. The third element of a good website is the plan, of course. Okay, we discussed about the plan in the marketing framework, right? So if you're the guide, right, your website in this case is acting as the guide. You're the brand, you're the guide, you're trying to help people out. So what is the plan that you're going to use to help these people out? That should also be very clear on the website. So remember, everything, the whole thing with the whole point of doing that story exercise was to understand how people react to these situations, and use that to change content on our website. So now we have a guide. Website is the guide. What is the plan that we have? How are we going to convince people that this is the right plan, this is the right order of steps you need to take in order to fix your problems, or to resolve the conflicts that you have? Okay, so it's usually done like this. You can have a section on the site that talks about things like schedule and introduction. So step 1, 2, 3. These are 3 steps in which you can do this. Third is going to be a listening session, and third, success strategies report will be given to you, and it's making it very clear that you're just 3 steps away from clarity. Okay, so give them a process plan. A process plan, again, remember that last session we talked about plans. There were 2 things. One, it should be simple, easy to follow steps, and second, it should be a process plan. It should show them the process that they need to undertake to solve whatever issues they have. So a process plan should always be included on just about any page on a website. It should be there on every single page of a website that acts as a sales page, including your home page. Customers absolutely love it when you spell out in detail what you want them to do in simple steps. Okay, so do this, and this is something that will resonate with the users. So again, header indulges them, it gets them hooked, it stops them from hitting the close button or hitting the back button and going away from the website. The value proposition further convinces them that, okay, you know what, this is really good, this is the value I'm getting out of it. And now the third important thing, okay, all's good, I like this, but how do I go about doing this? Now here's the plan. You straight away tell them you just need to do these 3 things in order to achieve this. And again, these things basically answer every question that the user may have while before coming on the website. So a couple of examples. Again, this is a different example for that. finding the perfect team experience is easy. Step 1, free proposal. Step 2, customize it. Step 3, leave it to us. It could not get better than this. It's like, free proposal, fill out a few simple questions. You don't have to do anything. You want to find create the perfect team experience plan, just submit a few questions and customize it by giving us information on the logistics, timing, and any other special request that your program needs, and then just leave it to us. We will do it for you. This makes the life of the consumers so simple, so easy. They are going to love this. Okay, so that's your this is another one, the all-in-one learning experience in just 3 steps. So step 1, start getting data from day 1. Step 2, check detailed progress. Step 3, help struggling students immediately. So this was, I believe, on the Udemy website that produces learning tutorials for people. So again, I don't even have to read through this. This and this. I'm just reading at the headlines, and it's making absolutely clear to me. So this is what, third one or the fourth one? Third one. So the plan should be the third important element on your website. When you are designing one, or if you are trying to critique a website, if you're trying to analyze a website, look for all these 3 things. The third thing is, again, very important. You have to look for it. This was yet another example. Number 4 is testimonials, authorities. So remember, when we talked about the fact that empathizing with the user is not enough. You have to showcase your authority as well. Okay. Before people want to buy, before people go ahead and buy from you, they want to read success stories. They want to read and make sure that everything is in capable hands. And testimonials are a great way of showing authority on your website. Okay, establishing yourself as the authority. So testimonials. Here are some some things to know about testimonials. 1, keep your testimonials relevant. Don't do generic stuff like great company, I love them, blah blah blah. Just don't do that. Keep it relevant. Either feature a testimonial that talks about a customer's specific case history, talks about a victory, talks about a win that they had, or a success that they had because of using your products or services, or how your products or services help someone overcome a certain problem or objection and help them succeed. Because somebody else who is reading it might have the same problem, might have the same objection, and he would love to know that, okay, other people have solved their problems using this product and service. Second thing, it's good to share the customer's image or their business name with the testimonials, because it absolutely establishes a lot of trust. You don't always have to share the customer's image in your testimonials, but if you can do that, you have to take, of course, if you're asking for testimonials from somebody, you can also ask for their pictures and ask them for an explicitly written permission that you can use their picture on your website. Because having a picture along with a testimonial, or even better, along with the picture, have a link to their website, so that that makes the endorsement a lot more authentic and a lot more personal. Pictures make a big difference. Pictures of people talking about something makes a huge difference. If you just write some random name like John Doe or something who said this about you, people are not going to pay that much attention, because a name is just it, right? I mean, it could have been faked. You could have written those testimonials yourself. But if you write something that that people can verify, there's nothing like it. And here are a couple of oops. So these things are in the wrong order. Keep the testimonials short. Think of it as a small soundbite. People, again, they don't read websites. The testimonials are the last thing they will read. Okay, so just focus on keeping it short, just the most important lines. Sometimes you can ask people for testimonials, and they'll send back large paragraphs. You can edit it, you can modify it, and just pick up the most relevant parts of it. Okay, that's how testimonials are created. Some examples over here. This one is a perfect one. If you can get a video testimonial, nothing like it. Ask them to record a video. Anybody can record a little video these days, using their mobile phones. They don't have to go for a very professional setup. On the other hand, if your businesses are local, trust me, this works excellent. You can reach out to your businesses, and you can ask them for a time. You can actually go out there with your own camera crew and record a proper, authentic looking, professional looking testimonial like we see here in this screen. But if that's not a possibility, if your customer is outstation, or maybe in a different country, you can simply ask them, if possible, to one, either send their photo with their testimonial along with their written permission, or to simply record a video using a mobile phone. That would be more than enough. Okay. Again, simple small testimonial with the name of the person, Justin and Jessica Cox, name of the company. This is as authentic a testimonial as can be. There's a picture of these two couple over there, Justin and Jessica Cox, and there's a video from apparently the same lady who's talking about it. This is one of the best kind of testimonials you have. There's absolutely no reason for me not to believe it. Okay. Another one. So again, we see pictures of two people. This is for a real estate testimonial. I feel this is slightly long. Maybe it's because the image is like really big. But again, this is again with the names Tim and Amanda linking out to their, showing their images. Again, this is very personal, very authentic, and works very, very well. Okay. So again, is that clear for all of you? Hope you guys are following this. I hope the constant talking is not, putting you guys to sleep. All right, so a couple of yeses. Thank you, Suresh, for confirming this, that you're not sleeping. Oops, come on. All right, the next one, let's move ahead. So element number 5 is the client logos. Again, that's important. If you can showcase client logos, that again continues on the authority part. So you can showcase your clients on the site. Zendesk does a wonderful job with it. Zendesk has their own client page, and on which they prominently feature most of their clients. So 60,000 companies trust us with their customers. They got like these big images over here, works perfect. And the one which I was talking about, the sample page that I had opened up. So they have again the clients right over here. So it's perfectly mentioned right here. You can see some of the big names. So Sony, Dell, Cisco, DHL, Yale. So people who are coming to this site and wondering if this is the right company for them, this will take away all the doubt. So if you're wondering, like, I did not hear of this company, is it a legitimate company? Now, if you have these logos, that element of doubt goes away. Okay. There are testimonials on the site as well. So I believe right here. So again, testimonials right here, and we have pictures of these people and the location from the place from which they are from. So Director of Technology Initiatives, Touro College. This is from some other health services thing, and there are these testimonials. Everyone should give it a try. Again, even the testimonials, what we have done here is we have kind of made them scannable. So instead of reading the whole thing, we just put one. We just kind of got the excerpt out of it and put this over here. Okay. So maybe they sent a much larger testimonial. So we put just one line, took one line out from it and made it a heading. So again, makes it for a very, very easy read. And this is a very important part of your website as well. So far this website is doing well. Again, this was something that was that I worked on. So obviously, I followed my own advice and made sure that all those elements are on the page. The only thing I kind of, when I look at it now, is that the page kind of looks a little too big. Maybe we should have made it a little smaller, or these paragraphs a little bit, smaller as well. I'll come back to these in just a minute, however. So let's go ahead. Oops, not this one, this one. All right, so that's your client logos. Number 6 is the descriptive text. Okay, so yes, people like to scan and all that stuff, but you also have to include descriptive text, because that is important for one very big reason, that is search engine optimization. Okay, I'm pretty sure SEO is the first thing that is covered. So most of you guys must have finished at least your SEO course, and you know that you need to have some content on the page for search engines to read and understand and make sense about the page, right? So the descriptive content is important, and this is what I was talking about. This is a descriptive content, but we have made efforts to ensure that even this descriptive text is scannable. So what we have done is we have written paragraph. Now this is primarily meant for search engines. We want this page to rank, and therefore we have written this content over here. But we have also summarized this content in these 3 little scannable bullet points over here. Okay, so there's a thing about these customized chat windows using blah blah blah. So just mentioned customized chat windows. Brand your chat with logos and colors. We have mentioned that as well, some over here. So catchy design for chat. So explanation is again kind of shortened over here. And if you don't want to create your own, you can choose from an extensive gallery of beautifully designed templates. That whole line can be established in just one single sentence that says, choose from ready-made chat templates. So again, this does the job. So again, if people who are scanning or no mood to read can actually just read the headlines and can just go through these points. And if they like something, for example, they're like, okay, reduce tickets. That sounds amazing. I have a problem with tickets. I get too many tickets. How does it reduce it? And then they may go ahead and read it in much more detail. And they're like, okay, so the ProProf's knowledge base and the help desk comes with this free live chat software. And answering these questions can reduce chat volume by 80%. Yeah, that makes sense to me. So this is the kind of thought process we had when building this web page. Okay. You can be creative with your descriptive test. You can do it like this. So like I said, you will have to have descriptive tests. You'll have to have some content, some larger paragraphs for search engines. Rest assured that people are going to skip that. Most of the people will not be reading that, but provide them with alternatives. Like in the last page, we had provided them with bullet points. In this case, you can simply do it like this or any other way in which you can make your content, because most people will go through this and not through this, not through all of this other information right here. Okay. So that's your, content. We're moving a little fast now. Number 7, the video. Video is a very important element because, like they say, a picture is worth 1,000 words. A video is worth 10,000 words, right? So videos are good. Videos create, people are lazy. So, for those who don't want to read, they can simply watch a video and figure out how to do something. So videos are always going to be great. I don't think I have to explain why videos are so so useful for any business. But if I go back to this page again, we have a video right here at the top. At this point, I'm not really happy with the background image, but unfortunately, this is how the design of the site is. It requires that we have the video placed inside of this laptop-looking image. But if you click on it, it does talk about the whole thing in much more detail. It's a professional video.
This is Mike. Mike is in charge of customer support at an e-commerce store. Business is growing.
Okay, so you see what we did here? We talked about the hero of the story, Mike. Okay, Mike is somebody who owns a website and he has a problem. Okay, Mike is somebody who has a business and he has a problem. So again, you see this how closely we are following that that idea we discussed earlier. People will love to or engage with videos like these just because they it's done in a story format. So once again,
phone is constantly ringing. The problem is that Mike can only handle one call at a time, and he often can't get to emails for a few hours.
Right. So the problem is the problem statement is mentioned over here, and so on and so forth. Later on, we introduce ProProf's chat as the guide here.
Answers they need right away with ProProf's knowledge-based integration.
So this or somewhere here, I think, yeah, this is where we introduce the.
This is where ProProf's chat comes in.
Right. So we introduce the guide over here. So literally following the same pattern all throughout this web page, and that works very well for this page. Right. So moving on ahead. The next thing is the cost. Okay. Now, when I say the cost, I do not mean the price. Okay, that's something else. Cost is the cost of failure. So I discussed this again in that the messaging framework, that you need to tell them that if they do not use your products and services, this is this is what might happen. This is how you may fail. Again, we're not going to use the word fail, but we will describe a scenario where we can tell them that if you do not use this, you'll be in X, Y, and Z problems. So again, this can be done in multiple ways. You can talk about what's my investment into it. Try to explain to people, what are the problems they're facing because of not doing something. More than 80% of the time, your audience is getting their first impression from website. A bad first impression and poor communication can cost a business a lot in growth. Okay, so instead of saying that if you do not use our products and services, you'll get a bad business name. No, we do not do that. We tell them, a bad impression and poor communication can cost a business a lot in growth. So again, we are trying to tell them that, yeah, if you do not use our branding services, you might get a poor name and you might fail, but we're doing it in words which they will appreciate a little bit more. So try and include content like that. That's extremely important. Show them the cost of failure. Show them if they do not sign up for you, how devastating it could be you by writing by writing problem situations, like if you do not do this, then this might happen, and so on. So do it properly, and that will definitely work for you. Again, this is another example that you can check out. I think it's similar to the one we did before. So we're talking about the fact that time and time is money. Time is of importance to you, and if you do not invest your time in the right things, then you may X, Y, Z. So you kind of want to make people think that what, this thing looks costly, right? This thing is a little expensive to me, but if I do not do this, the repercussions might be even more expensive. In the longer run, I may lose a lot by not investing in it right now. That is the kind of information, that is the kind of messaging that you want to create for these people. Okay. Number 9 is, of course, the pricing choices. So every website, if you're selling products and services, is going to have a pricing page on which you want to give them the pricing choices. Once again, keep them easy to understand, keep them simple, keep them easy to comprehend. And I don't have to explain much here, but I will leave you guys with a link. There was a page, yeah. So this is a really good article on what works on different kinds of pricing pages. Okay, this is a very interesting read from HubSpot, and I'm going to copy this and paste it in the chat window. You guys can go through it later on. I don't have to explain because this page does a wonderful job of kind of explaining all of that stuff. So this is a link. Save it on your site, bookmark it. I don't want you guys to read it right now because this has been a pretty long session, and I think another 5 more minutes is all we need. But yeah, this has been a long session. Don't read it right now. You do it, like when you have some free time, or when you are going to sleep, for example. Open it up, read through it, and it's a pretty interesting article on how pricing pages should be configured. Now, I've talked so many good things about about this site here, not my site, the site which I worked on. One thing that I really don't like about this page is definitely the pricing page. I think over time they've made it way too complicated. Look at it. Look at it. Do you think this is something that you want to go through? Is this going to make your decision simple? If you were to invest in something like this, in some software application, if you saw so much of information, do you think it would make it easy for you to make a decision? No, it doesn't. There are too many things that people aren't even going to bother about. So in this case, we kind of went ahead with we kind of got lost in the fact that we want to mention all these nice features that we have, and that would prompt people to go for the higher paid plans. But I think this is not working for me. I could still provide all of this information, but make it a little simpler. What I could do is I would give you a better idea for this. I mean, if you have a decision like this to make, that I have so many features, I want to let people see what features they are getting so that they can go for the other higher paid options. Well, what you can do is you can use something simple like this, and then at the bottom you can have something like more features, or you can have a comparison option where you can just let them choose the features they are interested in, and they can compare which of these tools are which of these tools are going to be which of these pricing packages are going to be useful for you. There's a suggestion from Anita that it could be color coded. Yes, that is definitely something that could work, but again, on our site we are pretty much limited to 3 colors. This orange color, this green color, this blue color, that's it, and the black for text, that's it. We don't use any other colors on the website, so that's kind of a bummer over here. But yeah, you can break it up in multiple ways, and to be honest, the link that I shared with you talks about a lot of these things. It explains how you can make it simple. For example, this is pretty good. You've highlighted the main things at the top and then listed the features at the bottom, and then more features even below. This again kind of looks complicated. You can read about. They will also critique this. They'll let you know which of these pricing pages are good, which are bad. Or you could probably just make them into these groups. So if I was interested in just customer profiles, for example, I could just open this one and read through that. Again, this is pretty nice, clean. The main features are at the top, other ones are at the bottom. This is pretty interesting. This is where you choose the pricing. You just drag the slider to a point where, like, okay, I want 6 domains and X number of users. I just drag it to that point and I can pick my own pricing. If I feel the pricing is too high, maybe drag the slide a little back, maybe maybe I don't need 6. Maybe I can do with 4. Right now I don't have much money, too much budget. So let me not go for 6. Let me go for 4. So this gives you even more flexibility. So this page is good. Go through that. You'll learn a lot about how these different pricing pages work and what you can do to come up with even better pricing pages. All right. That was number 9, right? And finally, we've got the garbage bin. Every website has lots of information. So these 9 things that we discussed are the most essential parts of any website. You have to make sure that it's all available on different places on the on the key pages of the website. But even after this, you'll still have lots of other content that you cannot just remove, right? And for that, we have we have a special place called the garbage bin, which is typically towards the bottom of a page, towards the footer of the page. So all the unnecessary information can go towards the footer, like from our blog or newsletter or any other thing that the customer is not going to care about at that point in time, right? I don't care about contact us right now. If I'm a customer on this page, I don't want to download the app right now. I don't want to sign up for the newsletter right now. I don't want to read the blog right now. But these are important from the company's point of view, right? So you still have to have them on the site. Just don't make them bang on the center of the page. Don't put these things. Don't ask them to subscribe for their newsletter right on the home page or right in the center of the page, because all of that is unnecessary information. Okay, put them into that junk locker which we talked about, that garbage bin we talked about. Okay, that concludes everything about this session, marketing framework, and then how do you put that message across on your website. And yeah, that's it. I hope you guys had some things to learn. I hope you find this informative. And to be honest, try to correlate all this information with all the other chapters in your marketing classes. So when you go to learn funnel marketing, for example, or conversion rate optimization, or email nurturing and email marketing, this is where this thing will be of will become a lot more handy. When you're creating ads, for example, think about how you can capture the problem statements and the solution statements. How can you be the guide to somebody via an ad? When you write an ad in Google AdWords, for example, all of this will be applicable everywhere you go. So if you search for something like buy used cars here, you'll see some ads over here. So how can you make sure that your marketing copy again uses that story concepts we talked about, and this will get you more clicks and so on. And once they click on this and go to the home page, how can you continue that story from there on this page? This is something that will help you create some really awesome landing pages, really awesome ad copies, and will improve your marketing, will help you perform much better as a marketer, will improve your marketing in X number of times. So focus on this, practice with everything that we learned so far, and that will make you better marketers. Without a doubt, this is something that I have been doing for a long time, seeing really good success with this, and there's no reason why you will not do the same. That wraps up this whole session. So that's it for now. Looks like there are no more questions, so we can wrap up the session.